Garcia, the Conservative American, and I am so blessed today. I've been dumbed down the last couple of weeks because my good friend Eric Mesi has not been on with me, so I don't know what's going on. Eric, thank you so much, and we are so sorry. We apologize here at Radio Tribune for the mishap. My wife had a phone problem, and we weren't able, we didn't have your phone number. I feel so dumb. I'm so sorry about that because you're so informative what you do for the American people as far as helping them out, fighting against illegal foreclosures. Eric, how you been doing?
Oh, doing pretty good.
Excellent.
Still carrying on with a lot of work, helping people state by state. I'm still under discovery and learning new things every day myself, so I'm amazed of what I've even recently found.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to you real quick, Eric. Something I have been researching since the last time that we talked is just how many of our veterans have been illegally foreclosed on. It's amazing.
Oh yeah, there's been piles of them. There's been big, huge lawsuits and settlements over that. They actually, some of the settlements, I mean, I kind of find it actually kind of low, but some of the soldiers only got like $114,000 or $180,000, and the question is that enough to buy another house?
Exactly.
Does that actually replace their house?
Yeah.
Because as the economy is changing, these homes are going up in each state. Even Florida, there's some expensive homes now out there. So yeah, they just basically threw all their families out into the street while they're protecting the United States and they're in war, and that's just unfair.
I couldn't believe it.
See, when they go overseas, they really, and a lot of times they have no access to pay their bills.
Yes.
They can't connect online and things of that nature because they're fighting in the war.
Yes.
You know, so to foreclose on our poor soldiers, that's just completely wrong.
Yes.
In what they did. So,
yeah.
What other questions do you have in that area?
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. The numbers were just, they were mind-boggling, and the amount of money. Yeah. You know what's amazing to me? I've always said this, being an economist, when you see someone settle a lawsuit, that is crumbs to how much money they stole. So it's like you said, the amount of money that they paid out to these soldiers are crumbs compared to how much money they stole from them.
Oh, absolutely. So it's not even enough money to replace their homes.
Yes.
So, okay, yeah, they come out of war, they come back, they're now back with civilians and everything, but can they go and buy another house with that little bit of settlement?
Yes.
And when these banks and servicers get fined, they just pay the fine and go on about their merry way. It doesn't really harm them much.
Yes.
Because they've been stealing so many homes, or they have so much money power and things like that, they hardly notice these fines. It doesn't make much difference to them. It's no big deal.
Yes.
So that's where we're at on that.
It's just
some of the other things that I wanted to bring up is what we've been unraveling out in Chicago, and most homeowners don't know this, but when a servicer opens a business, just like any company, in financial, whether if you're a contractor or who you are, you need a bond.
yes.
Okay, and in financial, it's called a surety bond. So what they're doing, just was talking to this person named Mike this morning. They come after his house using a company name called ShellPoint. Probably a lot of homeowners have heard of that. It's a servicer called ShellPoint.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Well, in Florida and in Florida, they're not licensed. Who they're actually operating under is NewPin. So NewPin keeps their name clean with no complaints because nobody even knows who they are. They go to court and they sue ShellPoint, which is an unlicensed entity. So basically their cases go nowhere. The judge puts a stamp on it, just grants foreclosure in these judicial states. And they go on their way just stealing homes using the ShellPoint name. If anybody files a complaint against ShellPoint, it goes nowhere because they're not a licensed entity.
Right.
While NewPin is keeping their name clean. Then the question remains, okay, when they put the application in, you have to be approved for a surety bond. How did they get approved is the question. Okay, did they actually use the Show Point name in their application? So I was explaining to Mike this morning, go ahead and find out from the license board, what did they put down? Did they actually tell the truth that they're going to go under the Show Point name, or did they get the surety bond approval under New Point, solely under New Point? Those are the questions. A homeowner could go after the bond. If they take the bond, that shuts the entire company down. Right away, the state pulls the license because the state doesn't want to be liable for any lawsuits. The bond actually protects the state and protects the consumer. So that's one of the real important things that people's attorneys should actually do. They should actually go after the bond when they're suing, and always go after the correct company when they're suing.
Yeah.
The one behind the scenes, like New Point, and New Pin, companies like that. So that's why they set these things up, because they want homeowners to waste all kinds of money suing the wrong entities and the unlicensed entities. We've all been shammed.
Wow.
And you can always look that up yourself between New Pin and Show Point. You'll see it for yourself. That they'll say New Pin is a partner of Show Point, but Show Point's unlicensed in most states. They may be licensed in some states, but not all states. So,
Eric, how in the
real quick, the website you use is nmls.com, and you could go in there for consumers and actually look it up for yourself and see if they're licensed. So it's actually NMLS consumeraccess.org. That's the website.
Okay. Eric, how in the world, just some of the information that you give out, I mean, like you say, I mean, you study this, this is a lot of what you do in your life, and you're still coming up with new information every day. How is the average person going to buy a home? How would they know all of this, Eric?
Oh, yeah, it's really hard, because before you even buy a home, the first thing you want to do is do one of your own title reports. You could actually go to a title company and ask for a title report and take a look at the chain of title. The person selling the home may not be the owner of the home to even be selling you it. You could actually buy a house and have another homeowner come after you later on saying that this is my house, because the clouds of title, they never took the home out of my name legally. And a homeowner that's buying a new home don't want any involvement in lawsuits like that. That's just, you're better off protecting yourself and getting a title report from a title company and have them explain to you if it does have clear title or not. And then buying a new home, who's to say that some of the contractors didn't put mechanics lien on the homes too? You want to make sure of that, because you could actually get foreclosed on by a mechanic lien, that some of the installation crews didn't get paid and things of that nature.
Wow.
It happened to me in Nevada with Ryan and Martis, where Ryan and Martis ended up going bankrupt. I bought a home from a new builder, and they later filed bankruptcy, but they weren't paying any of their contractors. So the contractors go out and put mechanics lien on every one of the homes. So then it leaves it to the homeowner now to have to fight that and get that lien cleared. So
wow.
Get a title report. Always get a title report. In the state of Nevada, you can go on the county recorder's website and look through all the documents yourself. So that's one thing about the state of Nevada. We have access to that.
Wow. Well, that's good. That's good, at least. Just unbelievable, Eric. It's baffling. It really is. I mean, it's just unbelievable. I mean, the average person going to buy a home, there's no way that they would know to look into these things and just, they just trust the banks and they trust the people in authority.
Yeah, and how do we trust the banks when we all thought we were automatically protected, that all mortgages were regulated? So we thought, well, how could any of this happen? We're protected by our government.
Yeah.
Well, that's incorrect, because we are not. and also the capital gains tax forms are all being lied to the IRS on who's really foreclosing. So these illegal debt collectors just go ahead and take the house, and they make monetary full profit on the property and don't have to pay any taxes on capital gains. Now, if you or I did that, the IRS would be down our throats and after us. That you owe us thousands of dollars for the capital gains you earned. But for some reason, the IRS is just looking the other way and allowing this to continue. So what I do is I keep filing whistleblower complaints to the IRS. There's forms you can fill out. There's also a finder's form that I do that, say, for example, like Tiffany and Bosco and those attorneys that are underneath that law firm, you file a whistleblower and say, hey, I'm the person who found this fraud. I should be paid dividends for these findings.
Yeah.
So if the IRS deems in your favor, they could be sending you thousands of dollars because look at all the homes that Tiffany and Bosco alone is stealing.
Yeah.
So it pays to do your homework and actually do these whistleblower forms. It really comes in handy. Of course, I have certain fax numbers that a lot of people might not have to fax the IRS to get it into the right department. Because initially, what the IRS would like to do is just drop your whistleblower complaint, look the other way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we just have to stick to our guns and just keep filing them and get our complaints out there. Because we all know we've been shammed. We know that who's taken our homes isn't even a person we've ever agreed to and asked for a mortgage from. So, that's where we're at on that.
The one thing I learned, the one thing I was amazing to me, Eric, because I was a trader in Chicago. I worked at the Chicago Board of Trade for a couple of years, and it was just amazing to me how many properties are bundled to foreign countries. And people in America don't even know that. A lot of times these foreign banks own these houses.
Oh, yeah. Well, they're actually, a lot of them are the investors who bought into the Remick pool. They call it the mortgage-backed securities.
Right.
They bought in there. So they're saying, hey, we're owed money, so we'll try to foreclose. But the trouble is, what they're actually buying is unsecured debt. They really have no rights to your house.
Right.
Either. And who's backing these investments is our tax dollars. So when these people sue overseas and they get deemed a settlement, then our tax dollars ends up having to pay this settlement.
Wow.
And that's really not fair to the taxpayer. Why are we having to cover all this stuff?
Yes.
And pay for these investors that were shammed? That's not fair to us.
Wow.
So that's where we're at on that. That's just, this whole thing is just a mess. Really, I'll tell you. Pure and simple.
It's just amazing. It makes me more and more angry every day that these banks got bailed out. It just makes me angry, Eric. They should not have been bailed out.
And they shouldn't have been. And Wells Fargo is one of the companies that got bailed out when they didn't even need any money. They had so many billions of dollars, they didn't even want to be bailed out, but they had to follow the program.
Wow.
And go with the click, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you can watch a lot of those movies. There's also the warning that explains a lot of this with Alan Greenspan and how they shouldn't allow derivatives to be a part of mortgages and things like that. There's a lot of movies and documentaries made on this stuff that people can actually learn from.
What do you think the real reason? What do you think the real reason is? Why do you think that they bailed the banks out?
What their concerns are is really what they're worried about is that if the banks are actually, if they were ever shut down, they would lose a lot of employees and paid, a lot of jobs and things of that nature. They use all these excuses. But the thing is, without banks, how does the government get paid all these
these guys are criminals, and it's just amazing. Where are the prison sentences? If that was me or you, we'd be under the prison.
Oh, they're 100% criminals. That's just what it is in a nutshell. I mean, they'll keep getting away with it because they have the power to do so. That's the thing. So, if they're licensed overseas, our government can't shut them down. This and that. It just keeps going around and around. So, what we did is we allowed a big, huge conglomeracy with these banks where they have too much power, and our government has no control over the banks. They'll just keep operating the same way that they've been operating. They may throw some fines out there. Okay, we showed we did our due diligence and we sued the banks and their settlements. They had to pay this and had to pay that. But how does that really help anything when it ends up being our tax dollars that have to back these settlements? So that's just like a slap on the wrist. They just go ahead and go on operating anyway. So if they had to pay $20 billion, oh well, just pay it and move on beyond our way. So it looks as though that, we had to pay a fine that we were sued. Okay, but we're still open, we're still operating.
Yeah.
And to me, that's just not fair. I mean, our government should have the power to shut them down and end this fraud, is what should happen.
I have veterans on my show sometime, Eric. They really have a dear place in my wife's heart. She's always been an advocate of veterans affairs and veterans' rights. And I've had a few on my show, and they have gone through this. Their homes have been taken from them. Their Social Security has been, basically taken from them. It's just amazing. It's like I thought that these were things that were, assured that when you get to a certain age, when you've served your country. And the only thing that seems like it's assured is that these big banks and these big companies will always be bailed out by they'll always be okay. But the people have no protection whatsoever. None.
No, they don't. They don't have any protection. Because how are they going to have protection when they can just stay open? They got license worldwide. There's nothing our government could say or do to shut them down. All they can do is slap them on the wrist. And that's it in a nutshell. And that's where we are today. See, Washington Mutual set the bar on the fraud and how to commit the fraud and how to do it. Okay, so they were buying servicer after servicer. Okay, well that's legal to foreclose just with a servicer. And WAMU was acting as a servicer in their own merit. So there was no bank involved, no beneficiary lender. So, but where they made their biggest mistake, they didn't get licensed overseas, so our government had the power to go in and shut them down. So that's where Chase and all these other banks go, oh, okay, well, we're going to learn from that mistake, so we're going to get licensed all over the world. Wells Fargo, all of them.
Wow.
And Bank of America is from Italy. So they initially were from Italy. They came here and went by the Bank of America name. But they're actually a bank from Italy if you look at their history.
Wow.
So that's how they did all this stuff. So now what happens, that alleviates any one government to ever shut them down if you get licensed all over the world. So it becomes a conglomerate, and even our government don't even have control to just go in and say that's it. Because I'm sure Donald Trump could see this fraud. If he had the power, he would sign an executive order saying, okay, we're going to close JP Morgan Chase down. And take it from there. Just take his chances and see what happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you don't have the power to do so, or the jurisdiction.
Eric, we're going to get you out of here on this last question. Just tell people that are, especially young couples, that you don't want to see anybody, but you don't want people to start off, their life, their journey, getting their first house or whatever. Just please give them a few tips, Eric, what to look for, what questions to ask, how to protect themselves, and again, give a website that they can go on and get some information from you, Eric, please.
Well, one of the best ways I've found, I know of one credit union that's in San Jose, California. Now, they only give loans in California, but I'm just using them as an example that if the lender. The specific word lender means beneficiary lender, the lender out the money that's going to fund the loan. And that's who your agreement is with, not a servicer, not anybody else. So when they move into foreclose, they act, solely act, just like in a movie acting, okay, as a lender, and they're not. So that breaches the entire contract. So my recommendation, I would try to go through a credit union, build a relationship with that credit union, buy a car through them, get to know them personally, ask them, if I decide to apply for a mortgage, is it your company funding that loan? And they need to answer that question as yes, not acting as a third party.
Right.
So that's where you would want to get your mortgages from. It's like a credit union to make sure you have a personal relationship. Do your boundaries and check their history and who they are and how do they lend the money.
Yes.
Don't just get a loan through Bank of America and think, well, I've got a great loan. Look at my interest rate or whatever. That doesn't mean anything because now Bank of America could be a servicer. So then the question is, who's the beneficiary lender? A homeowner needs to know this stuff.
Right.
And I would never play those games again. I would get an official loan. If I'm ever going to buy another house or anything like that, it would be an official loan.
Right. Eric, give them your website.
Okay. Oh, my website?
Yes, sir.
Okay, it's securitizedbankruptcysystems.com.
Wow.
And also my email address is sbsbankruptcy@att.net.
Wow. Eric, thank you so much. We've come to the end of the show. Thank you for being with me, man. I'm so sorry about last week, but we will definitely have you on next Wednesday, brother. I always learn 10 things from you every time I have you on, and you've just been a blessing to my show. So many people are going through this, especially veterans that I've had on my show, and they learn so much from you, Eric. We really appreciate you coming on and doing the show with us.
All right, and thank you too.
All right. God bless you, Eric. I'll talk to you soon. All right. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Bye.
Once again, that was my good friend Eric Mesi calling in. He usually calls in every Wednesday. We're so sorry to my public we didn't have him on last Wednesday, but we will have him on every Wednesday from now on. Eric Mesi, he is incredible, the work that he does, helping out people who have been illegally foreclosed on by banks, veterans he helps out that have been foreclosed by banks while they're fighting for our country. These are the kind of shows that we do. I want to thank the executive producer, Cian Garcia, and the assistant producer and head of social media, Kaylee Garcia. Once again, Chris Garcia, the Conservative American, will be up on YouTube. Google us in a couple of hours. We're having a big event here today at Radio Tribune. Meet the candidates from 5 to 7 o'clock. You can come to Radio Tribune, 717 South 9th Street, and you can meet Judge Cedric Kearns. You can meet Councilman Bob Beers. You can meet Staros Anthony, who's running, and also Kara Campbell, who is also running for municipal court. Once again, that is Meet the Candidates from 5 to 7 o'clock here, 717 South 9th Street, Radio Tribune. Thank you so much for watching. God bless America. God bless our troops, and Godspeed to Donald Trump. Thank you.
Did you already do that one? No.